Hello and welcome. Today I'll be going over the dev update number 22 of V-Rising. My name is Xolo Q, for those of you who don't know. I've been playing V-Rising for quite some time, and I want to go over these patch notes because I didn't get a chance to do it last week since I was sick, so here we go. I'm going to read through it, and then I'm going to add some commentary based on what I'm reading and stuff like that, so we'll see how this goes. Once more, vampires, it's good to see you. As the flowers wilt and the leaves fall dead upon the ground all around us, the delightful scent of rot that heralds the dark months ahead brings with it as well news from the crypts. Here at Stonlock Studios, we've been busy piecing together the puzzle work that will be our next major patch, and today we thought it might be an excellent opportunity to take a piece of every corner of the studio and show how they contribute to the greater whole. Settle into the shadows, my kin, whether by lovely candlelight or candling glow of your computer screen. It's time to delve into the topic of the developer update: family. Blood relations. What does family mean in V-Rising? In technical terms, we have something called unit families that serve several functions to help define how the people and creatures of our world behave. Each individual unit has a family they belong to, and these families act as factions that help decide how they interact with other units based on their allegiance. For instance, one such example is the legions of undead you encounter early and often. Undead are hostile to members of the Church of Luminance and will react violently to their presence. So when you're out in the world, you might stumble upon a gore swine and its gang fighting with golems, bandits, and local militia. This adds life to the world in a way that makes intuitive, logical sense. Some families even have more complicated allegiances, like how the militia soldiers are friendly to townspeople and paladins, but are unfriendly towards bandits. What does this mean for us in the upcoming patch? Why are unit families so important? Well, we're adding a new one. This one is a bit more complicated than the others and is being designed to fit a completely different purpose than the others. While other allegiances are meant to be a constant force of skirmishing stability in the world of Vardoran, this new army is quite the opposite. This is a force of instability. Okay. Alright, what do we got here? It looks like we have some kind of weird, they look kind of like bats, like that face, and almost like vampires, but it's I don't know, it's kind of weird. We'll have to look into that. We'll see. Concept art for something very unfriendly. Okay. Imagining instances of evil. When we create a new group of closely knit non-player characters, it raises questions from every side of studio production. We consider what they're supposed to do, how to make them fit that purpose through visuals and audio effects, and how all of this should work together in the game. First, let's talk about their design, the purpose of this faction. In V-Rising, we are the disabling force assaulting towns, encampments, and monstrous nests to feed off their blood and resources so that we may fuel our rise to power. But what happens when we're facing competitors? What would a different invading force look like, and how do we fulfill that fantasy? Enter this new, unfamiliar, and unusual breed of foe. An interloping force battles its way into our world and wreaks havoc where it lands. And our vision for that place is the new endgame focus zone. Vardoran is yours to conquer. And that better... Wait, hold on a second. This is the new endgame focus zone. Endgame focus zone. I think they're talking about the winter area, but, that'll be interesting. Okay. Vardoran is yours to conquer, and what better way to prove your rule than to claim the throne by striking down another worthy predator? Okay. Well, aren't we already doing that with, the werewolves, though? Genuine question. Okay, victorious. Wait, is there any changes to this picture? I do not believe so. Oh, but look at this skull, I just noticed. I'm gonna have to look back at older photos, but I see this skull here. It looks like the skull of this creature up here that we see. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. It's gonna be interesting. Okay. To fulfill the fantasy of war, we want these foes to come at you in swarms. We'll feel like you're cutting through a formidable enemy force, wreaking havoc worthy of fully realized vampire. In this scenario, your enemy's moves need to be easy to spot even when they're part of a massive group so that players can react to their attacks. It would be frustrating if you kept getting blindsided amidst a crowd in an epic large-scale battle, so we're mindful of that from the outset of the unit design. Okay, so something that kind of worries me a little bit here, a massive group. I really, I don't know. I've seen how like even like some of the late game ultimate spells will like just lag everything around you. I wonder if this massive group is going to cause that same lag, because I know with like the skeleton spawns and the spectral maidens and stuff like that. Sorry, not spectral maiden. The banshees and the skeleton priests and stuff like that outside my castle, for example. If I go and approach them all at once, I experience massive lag and frame drops. So I really hope that gets fixed so that this massive group that they're looking to implement, if that is going to be a thing, doesn't cause those kinds of like performance issues. I could be talking about something that's going to be a non-issue later on. I'm still unclear as to whether or not V Rising is going to stay on the Unity engine. I have no idea. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they have up their sleeve, but okay. For us, these new threats need to be ideal to work in conjunction with world events. Right now, our primary goal is to make sure they fit perfectly into the endgame zone. However, we also want them to work seamlessly as a strong invading force throughout the entire world of Ardoran in case we manage to find a good way to expand these events across the lands. So on the design side, we're also testing to make sure these units work no matter where you encounter them. Okay, so something I find really interesting here is they mention a strong invading force throughout the entire world of Ardoran. So I'm guessing these creatures are just going to be found throughout. Are these going to be kind of like the harpies, but like everywhere? Like, is that what this is? Like, I mean, genuine question, because I know in like Silverlight we have those harpy clusters that just kind of pop up in like, small groups. But it sounds like they're looking to do something a little bit more time sensitive, maybe, with these new enemies. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but it's really curious. Okay. One thing we're also carefully thinking about with the design of these units as an enemy is they're tied to PvP. Okay, so PvP I can't really comment on. I have no idea how this would even play a role. I would assume people would take advantage of their presence, maybe have them go first, do whatever. Unless these enemies are also collecting loot, then that could be an issue, and you might have to loot the enemies that are looting. I don't know. If you're encountering these in-world event scenarios on a PvP-enabled server, these are places where you'll be able to win valuable resources. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Valuable resources that will be contended by other players as well. Yeah, see, this is why I don't play PvP. So as we craft the way they work, as you're fighting them in a group, we also have to be mindful of how they'll act as interference in vampire versus vampire interactions. God. Something I kind of want to know is, like, why don't they just, like, give them two separate functions? I mean, I know it would take, like, a lot of time to, like, work out, but if you have some people playing PvE style and other people playing PvP style, I would assume that they wouldn't have to be exactly the same. I mean, I don't... This could be a time thing, like, maybe they're trying to create something that works for everyone. I'm not sure if that's wise here. I'm not a game dev. I don't know how, everything works behind the scenes, but I will say that it's going to be very interesting to see what they do here. Because, I mean, just seeing, like, the normal reactions. So, like, for example, like, here in this picture with the bandits versus, like, the wolves, and Tristan versus the wolves and stuff like that. That's really interesting, but, I like seeing these, like, fights in between, like, different families as they're describing it. So I really don't know how they're going to implement this with this new group, but we'll see. Raise your hand if you've had this guy crash your party. Oh yeah, he yes. Varied visions of vivid violence. Every aspect of development works in concert to make the overall experience work, and that's certainly no different for the art department. Our creepy creatives have been toiling away in conjunction with design to ensure that all the new varieties of voracious critters are as close to perfect as possible. Gameplay isn't just raw interaction. A huge part of what makes it work is the communication of those aspects of the game, which is done through visual art, animation, sounds, and all the ways your senses interact. I don't think we add any smells, though. Yeah, that's probably not very helpful. If you're smelling something, you should probably go clean your room. You know, it's funny I say that because I just recently, I was thinking, maybe you might want to clean your computer, but I just did that, so I think we're good. So how does this apply to an invading force? A swarm of enemies? Well, for one, they need to be visually distinct to identify them as something that does not belong in this place. We explored a few different avenues of trying to communicate this, but leaned in the direction that better broadcasted their warlike, violent nature. When you look at these creatures, you can immediately feel an air of hostility. There is no room for negotiation, which is shown through their jagged and unfriendly design, more so than another potential direction, such as making them look more alien and incomprehensible. Okay, I see what they're... Well, I mean, what looks more alien and incomprehensible than, the mutants in Gloomrot, though? You know, if you're trying to, so this is a question that needs to be answered. This whole air of hostility and stuff like that, yeah, okay, it makes sense design-wise, right? But we also can't forget that we have mutants in Gloomrot that are already kind of fulfilling this role of, alien and incomprehensible. They're not supposed to be there. It's kind of like a big mush mess. What is that thing, you know? So I kind of wonder how they're going to make this work, and if it's going to be all over the place, how's this going to work in Gloomrot? Are these creatures going to be fighting mutants in Gloomrot? Are they going to be fighting humans, mutants, and everything? Are these creatures going to be friendly to any force is what I want to know, because if, yes, they have an unfriendly design, but are there going to be areas that they just avoid? I would think that Silverlight might be a target for this kind of thing, because so far right now in Silverlight there's no real there's nothing happening there. Literally you could sit down and just watch all of the enemies just kind of walk around, all the humans just walk around in a cycle, and they do their thing, but there's no real threat within Silverlight unless you, the vampire, goes in there. And I'm talking about sorry, not Silverlight, I'm talking about Brighthaven. Unlike the villages over in the Dunley area where you have werewolves popping up and invading villages, or you might have undead, fighting militia along the trails and stuff like that. You don't really have that in Brighthaven. So I would like to see something like this enter Brighthaven, become an actual threat that maybe could be used as a distraction while I go in and sneak in and get whatever I need to get. So I don't know. It's just something to think about, but I would like to see some kind of event or regular happenings in a place like Brighthaven, because right now we only really see that in Gloomrot and Dunley. I don't think we see that at all in the bandit camps over in Farbane. So I don't know. That's going to be kind of interesting to see. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so here's okay, so this is what they mean by alien and incomprehensible. Okay, that's really odd. Notice here that there seems to be wings under the belt here. They look kind of like wings to me. Oh, they got hooves. That's kind of weird. That is very weird. I think these are, yeah, it looks kind of like, if you look at the outline without looking at the actual enemy, it almost looks like a minotaur. You got what's weird though is that these wings exist. I don't know what that is. So it is incomprehensible. Like, why does this even exist? You know, why is this, like, what's with all the eyes? You know, I have questions, but I find this also very interesting. Seeing this, like, it looks like a rune or something on top of, like, I don't know if this is even the head of the creature. It makes me wonder if this is some kind of, like, I don't know. I don't want to say like a cult, but like something that like maybe has like something that was created unnaturally. Um, it could also be like an experiment gone wrong, but with magic rather than technology. Like how we see in Gloomrot, we have that technology being used. Maybe someone else thought this was a good idea, but with spells and magic, who knows? This is really up for speculation. I have no idea what I'm looking at here. I mean, it is incomprehensible. I have no idea. So I don't really have any takes as to what this could be. An unused concept. Interesting. For invaders. 15 eyes on a headless torso. Not so relatable. Okay. So this is unused concept. That's interesting. All right. What's this? Concept art for a new enemy, much more relatable. Oh, okay. Okay. So they decided to go. What is this? Is this like a. I wonder what this. It looks almost like a succubus, maybe? Like, if you look at the wings, you have. I don't know. It's kind of the thing is, it's definitely not a harpy creature because the harpies have like feathers on their wings and their arms are their wings, whereas like this creature here, it looks like it could be something else. This might be a succubus. I'm not entirely sure, but that's my first thought seeing this. So let's see. Concept art for a new enemy much more relatable. I don't know if the word relatable is what I would use here. I would say maybe more like purpose driven, maybe, because like this creature is cool as fuck. Like I would like to see something like this as like a boss. I don't know if I want to see this as a normal enemy. I'd like to see this as a boss. I mean, imagine fighting this thing. Jesus. Yeah, this looks like a succubus to me. I don't know. Just as much as we need to make the faction feel the way we want and communicate their themes, we also need to make them distinct from the rest of Ardorn's inhabitants. You can instantly spot the difference between a human bandit and a soldier in the Church of Luminance. You should also be able to tell your new foes from every other man and monstrosity. This can be more challenging than it sounds, and there are plenty of traps to step up on when determining a visual direction. Thankfully, by working together, the different parts of the art team find creative solutions. Making your unit family too similar comes with the danger of making them difficult to tell apart, which can be a large issue here when you're intended to fight many at once. You need to be able to track what threats you need to account for instantly. We can help this with animation, for instance, adjusting one massive animal-like monster to move in a uniquely snake-like manner. And that's a good point. Moving, like the way that these enemies move is a big, can be kind of a telltale as to what you should be doing. So that's actually a good point. Let me go back to this. In a uniquely snake-like manner, and the smaller impish creatures to have jittery, jerking movements that draw your eyes with their frenetic energy. There was another issue with the visual design to these units being too similar to the new environment. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, making too big an adjustment could be dangerous this far along in the design process, but thankfully multiple parts of the team can all adjust in small ways to fix a major problem. Ground textures are being adjusted by the world team. Colors are being subtly shifted, and animations are being tweaked all at once to combine in a way that majorly boosts readability. Everyone works together to keep the vision intact. Okay, I like this. I'm glad they're working together to do that. The way that an enemy moves, now that I think about it, yeah, it is kind of a big deal. I mean, if you're dealing with a crowd of enemies and you're being completely surrounded, being able to know who you should kill first is kind of crucial to like not having high levels of frustration in these scenarios. So that's kind of interesting. Constructing the siege engines. Okay. We're not as evil, but that doesn't stop us from doing some mad science. Of course, there's tech. Oh, it is a succubus. Okay, I think so. None of this is possible without our engineers and architects nailing it together where we need it. While our design team are fairly capable programmers, some things need the assistance of our more advanced engineers to implement, especially when it comes to generating entirely new interactions. Oh, we're about to fall in love, fam. Look, we're about to get charmed. Oh no. Like charming vampires turnabout is fair play. Okay. With each new unit comes unique abilities that must be properly integrated into gameplay. The undead summon up minions from the grave, our friends in Gloomrot suck you in with their gravity shields, and our Church of Luminance holy folk drop down their healing auras. So too will these enemies have their own unique challenges for you to overcome, and that will take some effort and more than a little dark sorcery from the people that weave together all the inner workings of our lovely little vampire game. It may not be the most glamorous work, but it's essential to summoning our unlovable new horrors into existence. Okay. It screams for the horror of being alive. Yeah. That's me every day I wake up just screaming internally, but that's besides the point. Oh, by the way, fun fact. I didn't know that these things were like mutant rats for like the longest time. Like I know it literally says mutant rat like when you fight it, but like visually I didn't know that for like a while. And I'm ashamed to say that. But so this whole talk about visual clarity I think is kind of a big deal. I'm sure I'm not the only one. There has to be someone else out there who is as dense as I am, so oh well. Pray to the Dark God. This is a part of a game development that we don't talk about much, but applies just as much to creating a unit family as it does to any other aspect of the game development. All of you fellow game developers out there reading this will be nodding along as we recount this often overlooked aspect of the craft. That is, of course, the terrible rites we perform to ensure the cosmic cogs of video games continue to turn. Modeled after an in-studio workspace. That's funny. Whether it's a blood sacrifice to I can't read that. The Night Saint of Technical Shaders. Oh my god, that's so funny. Or when we must reach into the black pools gathering in the deep caverns beneath our studio to extract new high-end processors. Here at Stunlock Studios, we count on the nightmare priests that live in our walls for integral support that allows us to do the work that we do better and more efficiently. They also keep the Vargulls at bay. Wow. Let us not forget. Okay, so this is about the monster contest. Okay. Winter months approach just on the horizon, and as the sun sets earlier and earlier each day, we feel further empowered to move towards our milestones in development. Before the holidays, you can expect at least one more update on V-Rising's Journey 1.0. And as always, we look forward to hearing from you again. Okay. In the meantime, why stop chatting? Clever bunch of vampires that you are. We're sure your minds are abuzz with theories as to what this new family unit is. We're always so fascinated by the speculation. Let's see. Check out social. Okay, so let's go back to the what looked like a succubus. So I'm gonna go back to this. Right. Notice how like their body like glows before they cast that spell. That's gonna be huge. That's going to be like crucial. What my question is how are we going to fight? Like, obviously they can stand, right? Like they can stand on the ground. How are we going to fight these guys? Like, is there going to be, like, can we dodge this? I have questions. Can we dodge this? Is this something where, like, I know that in V Rising, like, our mouse, right? our mouse is controlling the direction our vampire is facing. I wonder if facing away when it hits you is going to be a way to counter this. I've seen stuff mechanics like this in like FF14, for example, where like you look away from like an enemy when they try to charm you and or something, and you know you're invulnerable to it because you're not looking at them. I wonder if we're gonna have something similar to the succubus here. Because I really want to know, like, is that how we're going to counter this? I don't know. I think this is a really cool update. I was not expecting an update to pop up. I know I'm like a week late reading through this almost. Again, I apologize. I was really sick, and you guys can probably hear my voice. I'm still not 100%, but I'm doing a lot better. I can at least eke out a few sentences coherently. At least I hope so. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thanks for watching this devlog update. That's basically my reaction to this update. As far as theory crafting goes, I don't think there needs to be much theory here. This is obviously a succubus, at least in my opinion. My question though is, what other abilities are they going to have? Obviously the charm is like kind of signature to like a succubus, but if that's the only real threat, that's gonna be really boring. So I really hope that they have some decent melee combat skills, and you know, I don't know if they would throw projectile. I hope they're not just throwing magic projectiles the whole time like the harpies do. I'm really not sure how this is gonna work, but the idea that they could be going around Vardoran and just charming people, I think that's gonna be really funny. It would be really cool to see this over in Brighthaven though. Imagine like you just see a bunch of them just come all at once and try and, you know, take over a piece of Brighthaven. I mean, that'd be really cool, but I don't know. We'll have to see. If we have an enemy that kind of goes around the map the way we do, or another thing to think about is, are these enemies going to be swarming our castle? Yeah, but I really want to know, like, are these enemies going to be like swarming our castle? Are they going to be, you know, if there's like a mob of succubi, I guess is how they would be, like, you know, plural. I don't know. If you're getting surrounded by a mob of succubi at your castle, I mean, that's going to bring some questions. It's going to be really interesting though. But yeah, thanks for watching. Xolo out.